Can't even talk about like the fact that you can
Yeah,
register to vote at the library, and that
Yeah,
early
we
voting is
can,
something
but
that
that's
you
not-
can do here at our library, something that I do all the time.
Early voting begins. So that goes all the way through page 16 with filing certificates for 2 different counties. And then starting on page 18 is the ordinance providing for and requiring the submission of the proposition of increasing the limiting rate for the Plainfield Public Library District, Will and Kendall Counties, Illinois, to the voters of said library district at the general primary election to be held the 15th day of March 2016. So this is the actual ordinance to increase the limiting rate for the library. What it does is it basically takes the tax cap off for a single year and allows us, and puts a new cap on. That is exactly what is spelled out. You can see in the 4th paragraph that starts with whereas on page 18, the limiting rate for the library district for levy year 2014 was 0.2052%. That percent also means mills. For those of you who follow along with me, I always reference the tax rate is in mills because you add a couple of decimal points before you actually apply it to an equalized assessed valuation. And then in the next paragraph, the limiting rate for the library district by an additional amount equal to, and at this point, this was working with the 39.5 million. It was a limiting rate increase of 0.0380 above the limiting rate for the year 2014. So, and establishing the same at 0.2432. So that's kind of the target range is to have the operating at that around the 0.24, somewhere in there, with the bond amount going down. That rate will probably go up very slightly. If you flip back to page 37, you can see I did a new version of that tax impact draft for you that includes at 39.5 million, the bond rate was estimated to be 0.1534 as a starting rate. But that will, of course, go down very slightly. It'll probably still be in the 15-cent range. But that does bring us in at slightly under 12, this right here at the 39.5 brings us in at $12 a month for the average homeowner going toward the bond, and about $3 going toward operating. It'll vary a little bit with this change. As you can see, the numbers currently plugged in would come in at the average homeowner would pay an increase of $14.99 per month. I would like to get that down just a little bit if we can. This operating increase is an 18.5% increase to our operating funds. If we can get that up to about 20, that's a lot more comfortable place to be with a building that's 3 times the size. It would allow us a lot more latitude to be able to increase the materials budgets and to be able to provide the additional staff to do the kinds of, yes. Well, the additional staff to do everything from sweep the floors to man the computer lab, as well as being able to keep it heated, cooled, lit, all of those lovely things that we all enjoy in our library. So if it please the board, I will take these numbers back, shoot that 39 million off to John Pamonte at R.W. Baird, who is our financing guru, and he will send it on back to me with what that anticipated rate would be, and I can see where that puts us on the operating side, but I would like to target about a 20% operating increase for just operating funds, and bring that in under $15. If I can do this for $14.90 or less per month, heck, that would be fantastic, fantastic. And I know that every little bit we can get it down makes it more palatable to our community, and we've really spent a lot of time kind of shaving this project down as much as we can and making it as efficient as we possibly could. But we don't want to go a little overboard on that and not have the people to do the things that we've found that our community has asked us to do in the new building, and to be able to deploy it the right way. 3 times the size, only a few more staff.
Right,
Material handling.
that conveyor belts.
Materials handling, plus our 3, one of the other things that occurs in the 3-level deployment is that we have 3 service desks currently. 2 of them are on the same level, circulation and the adults reference desk. This, by deploying each of those service desks to a separate floor, we automatically have staff on each floor, so that does help us along the way. But the larger the computer lab and the more in-depth the technology that we make available to the public, the more people
For
they'll
which there is
need.
great demand.
For which there is great demand, but that just means we'll need the extra people to be able to help them actually use it.
Right.
And to troubleshoot it when the filament gets stuck in the 3D printer or the paper jams in the large format, whatever, yeah. Yeah.
Or the USB doesn't fit in the HDMI drive.
You have, okay, public computing is always fun to manage.
Yes. All right.
And then the back page is just, that was the latest round of John Pamonte running what the bond numbers would be.
Okay.
So that gives you a sense of where we'll wind up.
20 years.
Yes. One thing to remember is that when John runs his numbers, they're slightly off from mine. He does a straight line 100,000 EAV for the $300,000 home. The vast majority of our folks have that owner-occupied exemption on their homes. And so we take that exemption from the EAV when I run my numbers. It's a matter of a couple of bucks, but 99% of our households here in Plainfield, when you're talking average homeowner, your average homeowner is living in their primary residence. And so has the owner-occupied exemption on their EAV.
So we list the $100,000 figure even though it says fair
no,
market value.
No, that's completely different. Okay, flip back to page 21. 21. Oh yeah, I was gonna go over this with you guys. That's good. Thank you, Carl.
You betcha.
Okay, so in the actual question, number 2 says that is actually a $100,000 home. A home with a fair market value of $100,000 would pay an estimated $12 a year. That would be the increase.
Oh, per year.
Yes, and that's only on the operating.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's a much.
Yes.
Okay. So that's just the statutory language that it says,
And
figure it at
again-
100,000.
Yes.
Okay.
They say, and
Okay.
they also figure it at a straight line, $100,000, so that's
No exemptions, no freezes.
no exemptions, no freezes, no ifs, ands,
Okay.
or buts, go straight line to the 100,000.
Okay.
I know the idea is to have people be able to do the math in their heads about what their own home is,
Right.
but the actual, so again, on page 22, the face of the ballot occurs right there. So the way it reads, shall the limiting rate under the property tax extension limitation law for the Plainfield Public Library District will in Kendall County, Illinois, be increased by an additional amount equal to 0.0380% above the limiting rate for any purpose of said library district for levy year 2014 and be equal to 0.2432% of the equalized assessed value of the taxable property therein for levy year 16. And as you may recall, that's levy year 16 because we did talk to Kelly about the idea of trying to shoehorn it into levy year 15, but we're right on that cusp and we don't want to have, if there is any sort of question, recount, the official results aren't in, that really makes it questionable, so it's a lot easier to do it a year in advance. And again, so you put in the increase and you put in what the total becomes. While today's tax rate appears in the body of the ordinance, it does not appear in the body of the question. And then number 1 lays out the dollar amount from the last year extended, the approximate amount of taxes extendable at the most recently extended limiting rate is $3,647,727, and the approximate amount of taxes extendable if the proposition is approved is $4,321,968. I know, they're ugly. And then number 2, for the 2016 levy year, the approximate amount of the additional tax extendable against property containing a single-family residence and having a fair market value at the time of the referendum of $100,000 is estimated to be $12.67. And number 3, if the proposition is approved, the aggregate extension for 2016 will be determined by the limiting rate set forth in the proposition rather than the otherwise applicable limiting rate calculated under the provisions of the property tax extension limitation law, commonly known as the property tax cap law.
Super commonly known.
Right, right.
Super common. Anyway, so the whole question to which you say yes or no takes up about a half a page.
Right. So everything, including points
You
1, 2,
voted on
and
that
3.
Yes, so all of that appears on the ballot, so it's a big, scary question.
For this half of the question. And then,
Yes, and
Flipping back.
in general, bond issue questions appear before limiting rate questions. I don't know why they just do that.
So that's
It's okay.
why people say, well, I vote yes for this one. I'm gonna vote.
I think they get tired by the time they get to the end of the ballot, they just can't read it.
Can we put this at the top?
One at the beginning, one at the end, in the middle.
No, right at the,
Yeah,
can you imagine the undervoting?
unfortunately,
Just right above
also
Trump.
referenda are traditionally the last thing on the ballot.
I know.
So all of your other things will be, and bear in mind that our questions are likely to be the only thing appearing on a non-partisan ballot in this election. So if someone goes to the polls and polls not, on the off chance decides not to declare Democrat or Republican in this election, ours will likely be the only thing they are voting
Then they can focus and vote
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like the
Because
perfect
there are
situation for
no
early voting.
partisan boards that will be up
on.
in March.
Yeah, nobody else around here runs a primary. So,
The other thing that's out there is, if you're home rule, and you're not, but if you're home rule, there is a bill out there called Senate Bill 318, which is putting a tax levy cap on increases over the next 2 years. You can't increase it. So everybody else is trying to get all of the increases that's coming up into that.
Before that.
Yeah, before that
Gate
hits.
closes.
Yeah. So I don't know whether that's gonna help or even have an
Nope.
influence.
I missed one. Deb hasn't done this yet.
Okay. Because there's two
Yeah,
votes.
and just FYI for the dates in there, Deb has not
Is it
edited.
perfected it yet?
Has not
Yeah.
proved these documents, and believe me, she will.
That's why we love her.
Yes, and she is recovering well from her oral surgery earlier this afternoon, so,
Oh, surgery.
yes.
The other thing I noticed was
Just getting mostly cyborg by the end of this.
Huh?
Getting mostly cyborg by the end of this.
So this will be voted on December 16th?
yes.
Yep.
And any more
So-
questions
so
about
we-
any of this while everything
Yeah.
is kind of spinning around?
So as I get numbers back from John Piemonte and work through the cost on the operating side, I will shoot that out to all of you so that you see those numbers. And as we get refined drafts of these ordinances, I will be sending those to you for your edification, so that we are prepared on the 16th. And if anyone has any questions or has anything like that where, especially with the addition and existing, I am asking, that's my first call to Kelly Cost in the morning. So
Yeah.
we will triple check that there isn't anything else we could possibly say. Because if we have a little bit of provision in there, I will get rid of both of those words. Existing library and
Yeah.
addition will
Right.
both go.
Because otherwise it
That's
seems like
right.
the assumption is that
Building-
you only
building-
ever add on to what you have.
Yeah.
You can never build new.
Yeah, building and equipping a library
Right.
facility would be a lot more straightforward if we can get that in there. How's everybody
Politics.
feeling?
All right.
Excited. Yay.
Do we have any new
You good?
business? Do we have any need
No
to
new
go to executive
business,
session?
and we don't have any executive session.
Can I entertain a motion to close
Well, I would
this?
entertain it, you can make it.
Can I make a motion? Great. Can I make a motion to adjourn this special meeting?
You may. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much.
Bye, Deb.
8:50.